I start my day with morning meditation, and I allow for 2 hours every morning for myself for that work. And so I'm an early riser. I think that according to the research that we've done numerous times, that there's a moment where when we're going inward, where we have the ability to get beyond ourselves, to get beyond our body, because we think we're our body, get beyond the people in our lives, the things that we own, our cell phone, our computer, the places we need to go to work, home, wherever, at shopping, and get beyond linear time itself. And that elegant moment is when we turn inward and connect to the generous present moment. And all possibilities in the quantum field exist in the present moment. So the act of connecting is getting beyond yourself and becoming pure consciousness, dissociating from everything in the three-dimensional reality. And if you take away every body, every person, everything, every place, and time itself, and you eliminate the planets, the moons, the stars, the light from the stars, you're left with this empty space, this void. And that is the field. Even though you can't see something there, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's where possibilities exist. It's where frequency exists. It's a level of energy that exists beyond matter. And so much research has shown that it's not matter that's emitting a field. It's the field that creates matter. So if you create from the field, you can have greater effects on matter. So for me, that moment of connecting to the quantum field, that invisible field of energy and information that governs everything material and connects everything physical, is a good place to start thinking about who you want to be when you open your eyes. And so we have to get beyond ourselves, our past identity, to create a new identity. And it's not about wealth, and it's not about success, and it's not about health. In fact, it's about who we become in the process. And so I think more and more people are interested in going inward and being able to have a little bit more control in their life. I think there's got to be a balance. We have to keep one foot in the real world and one foot in the quantum world. And that means that we have to be practical people when we're navigating in three-dimensional reality. And let's face it, we spend the majority of our time there. This is what physical reality is about engaging in this world with our senses. And so the problem is that when the ego's in balance, its job is to protect the self, to protect the body. If you're near a bonfire and the embers are blowing ashes towards you, your ego tells you to step away. If you're hiking and you're going along a very narrow cliff, it's your ego that says stay close to the wall and stay away from the edge. The ego's natural job is to protect us, So what happens, though, is when we get switched on by the hormones of stress, which, by the way, is 70% of the time, stress causes us to overfocus on our body. If you're being chased by Tyrannosaurus Rex and you get that rush of adrenaline and you move into emergency mode, you're going to use all of your body's resources to outrun that predator. Well, but if it's not T-Rex and it happens to be a coworker that's sitting right next to you at work, you're turning on that same response, and what was once very adaptive becomes very maladaptive, because when you turn on the stress response and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for disease. So people get addicted to the rush of adrenaline, the rush of stress hormones that arouse the body. So in a sense, they start needing the people and conditions in their life to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. In other words, they become addicted to the life they don't even like. And so this is why change is so hard. At the same time, when you're threatened by a predator, you see danger, all of your attention goes to the outer world. You're narrowing your focus on the cause of your change in your internal state. So that becomes a habit. People all of a sudden start narrowing their focus on everything material. Well, in the quantum world, reality is both a particle and a wave, matter and energy. And so we begin to exclude the field of possibilities when we're in the habit of focusing on just the material world.
You have the power to raise your own energy and serve the world. Stay here and we will reveal the secret to awake your true power in the next part.
When we perceive a threat in our external environment, like a lion, we are going to run or fight or freeze. But if you've had problems with your coworker, or you've had a very difficult experience with your mother-in-law, The moment you perceive your mother-in-law or your coworker, you have a past experience with them, you're going to turn on the same primitive nervous system just like you're being chased by a lion. So what was once highly adaptive now becomes very maladaptive, because when you're mobilizing all of that energy, you are going to operate in very predictable ways. You're going to be an amped up animal with a big memory bank. So that your blood flow is going to go to the hindbrain and away from the forebrain, which means you're going to react instead of think, rationalize. You can begin to forecast some future worst case scenario, and you can attend to that thought to the exclusion of everything else. And you can focus on it to such a degree that you will begin to anticipate the event and produce the same chemicals as if you were in that experience, and you're knocking your brain and body out of balance just by thought alone. You can begin to unfold some past bitter memory that's tattooed in the recesses of your gray matter. And like magic, you can bring it to life. And in that moment, it's real. And you will produce the same chemistry in your brain and body as if that event occurred. And your body, as the unconscious mind, is literally living that experience. So then, when we're living by the hormones of stress, and you turn on that stress response, and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for some disease. Because no organism in nature can tolerate living in emergency mode for extended periods of time. So if 70% of the time a person's living in survival, living in stress, in survival, what we do in order to survive is we are going to select the worst case scenario. And we are going to begin to plan our behaviors and our emotions in that experience, because anything less than the worst case scenario means we have better chances of survival. So we plan for the worst, we emotionally embrace it, and anything less means we can survive. So out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field, anxiety really represents a poor imagination, but it's highly adaptive if you're living in survival, because you got to get ready for that. So 70% of the time, people are selecting the worst case event in their life and emotionally embracing it, and they're programming their autonomic nervous system into a very specific destiny. And it turns out if you keep doing that and you create the emotions of fear and worry and anxiety, and you do that for 10 years or 5 years or 3 years, your body is going to unconsciously become programmed to fear. And it's going to have a panic attack without you. Try as you may with your conscious mind to control it, you've programmed it subconsciously. And now the body, as the mind, is running the show. So the hormones of stress create the emotions of anger, of aggression, of